Previously, on Mass Effect 3, we recovered a cure for the genophage. Today, I'd like to talk about patterns.
Eden Prime. This is where it all began.
We received this mission via an email from Admiral Hackett. There's a Prothean relic that's just been found back on Eden Prime, and we're going there to pick it up.
His first major attack with the Geth.
Yes. And now, with Cerberus here, Eden Prime's colonists are under attack again.
Seems like more than just 3 years ago.
I remember the reports. I was busting my ass trying to find evidence against Saren. Hearing that he'd attacked a colony while I sat mired in bureaucracy, that was a bad day.
We got him in the end.
That we did.
Cerberus hit Eden Prime hard. Whatever they found here was worth a major offensive. There are survivors elsewhere on the colony, but they killed everyone near the dig site.
They deserve better.
I know. The Alliance did what it could to evacuate colonists, but Cerberus came in so quickly.
If we find survivors, we'll do what we can. What about this artifact? Any idea whether it's part of the Crucible?
The Alliance didn't get any specifics about what Cerberus has uncovered. Since the original dig site here contained a warning about the Reapers, it could be connected to the Crucible.
I'm bringing you in as close to the dig site as I can. No way we'll avoid detection, but you should have a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
All part of the service, Commander.
This mission, From Ashes, is a Day 1 DLC mission, part of Electronic Arts' Project $10. Project $10 was an initiative by EA to boost sales by discouraging the second-hand trade, which of course doesn't directly benefit EA. Under this initiative, new copies of new games would include one-time redeemable codes for DLC that would otherwise cost $10. So, if you bought a game new, you'd get a good chunk of extra content. If you bought a game second-hand or rented it for less, cutting EA out of the market, then you wouldn't get the content. Some people find this really objectionable. Me, I buy all my games new anyway, so it's never really bothered me. And I suppose chunking content off from the main project can help to include stuff that might otherwise have not made the cut, with QA turnarounds being less and all. To be honest, there are worse stunts to pull, like Bethesda's Horse Armor, or only being able to buy DLC with BioWare points, where the cost for DLC in points never matches the number of points that you can actually buy. From Ashes is chock full of callbacks and references to the previous games, especially Mass Effect 1. Eden Prime was the location of the first mission in the game. There's dialogue about Saren, the first game's villain, and some of the plot events of that game. The Prothean beacons, the stasis pods on Ilos, the way the Prothean cipher lets Shepard understand things that other characters can't. This mission is particularly focused on the past.
Goddess, that doesn't seem possible. It's not a Prothean artifact, it's a Prothean.
Like the Collectors, or those bodies we found back on Ilos.
Like the bodies we found back on Ilos. But this one is alive.
You're right. That doesn't sound possible.
You saw Prothean stasis chambers in the archives on Ilos. The only reason those failed was a lack of power. Cerberus found this in an underground bunker. It still has power. He's been in stasis for the past 50,000 years, waiting for us. Think of what we could learn.
What can you tell me about the Protheans? The people, not the technology.
Given your experience with the Prothean cipher, you probably know as much about them as I do. The Prothean Empire spanned the known galaxy. They uplifted countless other species to help them join the galactic community.
Galactic community? You'd think they had something like a council?
Yes, exactly. Their cultural and artistic expression are actually quite close to those of the ancient Asari. And given their similar interests in helping other species, it's clear that they believed in interspecies cooperation.
The way you describe them, they sound a lot like the Asari.
I'm certain I'm coloring their culture with my own perceptions. Whatever the Protheans were, finding one alive represents an incredible opportunity.
Good thing we brought our Prothean expert.
I hope I can help. If this single Prothean was sent into stasis, he could be the foremost scientist of his time, or perhaps the wisest counselor.
This is irony, and is hilarious. It should pay off by the end of the video.
Are unstable.
Then let's get him out of there.
No, breaking open the pod would kill him. We have to find the command signal that ends the stasis mode. We also need to figure out how to physically open the pod without doing more damage. Cerberus took over the labs nearby to research what they found at the dig site. That's likely our best bet.
I play far too many games, and when you've played a lot of games, you start to notice things. Ideas and concepts that pop up a lot in stories, wells that certain developers return to time and again. Chris Metzen of Blizzard likes the idea of corruption and good people being turned to evil by darker, greater forces. We call this unoriginality. Chris Avallone of Obsidian likes the theme of betrayal and deconstructing genre conventions. We call this art. You should all know and have seen the BioWare story chart that's been floating around the internet for ages. Link should be in the description. It's a comparison of BioWare's games from Baldur's Gate through to Dragon Age Origins, and how there are similar ideas that just keep on popping up. Ancient evil threatens the land, plucky hero rises to occasion, wander the countryside, secrets of the past revealed, so on, so forth. I understand that when BioWare writer and blubbering blowhard Patrick Weeks saw the chart, he got quite upset, mumbled something about Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. Now, normally I'm happy to rip into BioWare for how every game from Baldur's Gate to Dragon Age uses the same rough plot, characters and structure. That period from Neverwinter Nights 1 onwards, where it seemed every game had 4 hubs with 4 plot keys that had to be found to progress, was particularly egregious. One of the reasons I like Mass Effect 2 so much is that it marks BioWare finally breaking from that tired old structure. But, in all honesty, I can't criticise them too much for having a signature direction. I don't think it's unfair for an author to have a particular area or particular concepts that they're interested in exploring. No one's going to criticise, I don't know, Salman Rushdie for writing tons on the Indian subcontinent and post-colonialism. And as mentioned, we're happy for Obsidian to write stories about protagonists that are victims of curses or force holds or burn notices that spend the entire game finding out the mysterious truth behind their condition. In the same way then, I don't think we can blame BioWare for being particularly interested in heroism and the terrible power of the ancient past. Mass Effect 3 is no exception to BioWare's obsession with the past. Most of the major conflicts in the galaxy have their roots in causes many hundreds or thousands of years ago. The Geth were created in 1895, about 300 years before the start of the game. Their creation led to the Morning War and the Quarian Diaspora. The Genophage was the result of the Krogan rebellions, which occurred around 700 CE, about 1300 years ago to us, even more for Shepard and Rex. Even that has its root causes in the Rakai invasion 700 years previous, which had its own causes from even further back. In Mass Effect 2, many of the party members have some kind of past issue that continues to haunt them. Mordin's involvement with the Genophage, Thane's history as an assassin, Samara's past life as a mother, Jacob and his father, and of course the ultimate expression of this obsession with the past is the Reapers. A lot of the burden of handling this theme falls on Liara. As the academic member of the crew, she's a natural mouthpiece for BioWare to explain the Protheans in Mass Effect 1 and the Crucible in Mass Effect 3. A fair number of her conversations aboard the Normandy have this historiographical sense to them. I'm thinking in particular of the one where she wonders if, as a long-lived Asari, she might survive the hundreds of years to witness the Reapers complete their harvest of the galaxy.
I never thought our empire would fall. It won't. We will sleep here until the Reapers return to dock space. Then we will rise, 1,000,000 strong.
For the Empire.
For the Empire. Get to your stasis pod. Victory. Broadcast the stasis readiness signal to all life pods.
And the refugees who have yet to reach the bunker.
Their sacrifice will be honored in the coming Empire.
I've got the signal.
You understood that?
You didn't?
No. All I saw was static. Cerberus was trying to make sense of it without success. The Prothean cipher you received on Pharaohs, it lets you see the images as a Prothean would, and understand their language.
Whatever it does, I saw the video. And the signal they used.
Perfect. Then we just need to figure out how to physically open the pod.
When I was younger, I read and reread a fantasy book series by the author Robin Hobb. The series was called The Assassin's Trilogy, several more followed soon afterwards, and it was a Bildungsroman, a coming-of-age story. So it kind of hit me at the right time. The main character was called Fitz, and he was the bastard son of the heir to the throne of the Six Duchies, a medieval kingdom that just about united 6 smaller states that didn't like each other very much. Fitz is adopted by the royal family while his father goes into self-imposed exile, and the story follows Fitz as he goes through adolescence, trains as an assassin for the crown, and grapples with the twin magics of his birth, the noble royal magic of the skill and the low-born beast magic of the wit. And all this happens as the Six Duchies deals with a war with barbarian raiders from across the sea and civil strife from within. It's good stuff, like I said, it hit me just as I was going through adolescence. And Hobb focuses a lot on the characters and the relationships, really fleshes them out, lots of drama and such. One of the friendships Fitz has in the series is with the King's Fool. The Fool believes himself to be the White Prophet, someone who can both foretell the future and recall the ancient past. The White Prophets believe time moves in a circle, that what has gone before will happen again. A nation goes to war with another nation, defeats them utterly. A generation later, the humiliated and frustrated population of the defeated country rallies behind a demagogue, rises up and starts the war again. Or, maybe, circumstances mean a man must allow his child to be raised by another, only then for that child to be put in his father's position when he in turn has children and must give them up to protect them. Sometimes events repeat themselves because of direct consequences, the war that reignites because of the resolution of the previous war, and sometimes there is no connection, just seemingly cruel fate. The Fool believes that this cycle, this pattern of time, is both the cause of all misery and also the solution to it. Time not only condemns us to be unable to change past mistakes, but also to be seemingly doomed to repeat them. But if the White Prophet can nudge events just so, use prophecy to change the pattern so that instead of repeating mistakes, people make better choices, choosing to forgive the war and make peace with their former enemies, perhaps, then good events will start to follow good events, and a cycle will get better and happier, and change will become easier, until eventually we are freed from the constraints of time and achieve everlasting peace.
There. That lab found footage of the Protheans. Cerberus is studying it.
When I first heard about the Crucible, which was the script leak in 2011, I wasn't impressed. You probably know all the criticisms already. It's a generic superweapon that somehow solves the Reaper problem with no explanation or reason. Terms like Deus Ex Machina are thrown around. Now, strictly speaking, Deus Ex Machina isn't inherently a bad thing. It's a tool like anything else. If you wanted to write a play about the ineffable power and supremacy of the gods, then having one show up out of nowhere at the end of the story to solve an unsolvable problem is a pretty good way of doing that. But that's besides the point. What I want to say is, after playing through Mass Effect 3 a couple of times, especially after I played through a run where most of the characters died, I really warmed to the idea of the Crucible.
How many have we lost?
Reaper forces have destroyed approximately 300,000 life pods.
Third of our people.
Alert! Broadside bulkhead cannot be sealed. Hostiles detected.
Then all forces to the north.
You understood that one too?
Yes.
Excellent. Then we have everything we need to open the pod.
Backup forces are here.
Mass Effect 1 was pretty generic. The writing wasn't much to talk about. There's the standard obsession with the past. The Reapers are an enemy from the dawn of time, millions of years old. More technology is based on the ancient mass relays and the eponymous Mass Effect. The Prothean beacons, the Thorian, the Conduit are a helping hand from the past that enables Shepard and company to defeat Sovereign's plot to wipe out the galaxy. So far, so BioWare. But there was one interesting idea. On Vermeer, Shepard speaks with the Reaper Sovereign. Shepard says something generically heroic, we'll stop you. And Sovereign says,
"The pattern has repeated itself more times than you can fathom. Organic civilizations rise, evolve, advance, and at the apex of their glory, they are extinguished. The Protheans were not the first. They did not create the Citadel. They did not forge the mass relays. They merely found them. The legacy of my kind."
Why would you construct the mass relays, then leave them for someone else to find?
Your civilization is based on the technology of the mass relays. Our technology. By using it, your society develops along the paths we desire.
And this is awesome for several reasons. Firstly, it's a cool idea in itself that power, true power, is synonymous with elegance. The Protheans controlled other races through brute force and slavery, but this entity is so advanced, so technologically sophisticated, that it can predict and shape a species' development just by choosing what tidbits of information to scatter in their path. But more than that though, is the implication of that idea, that the entire galaxy, everything we know, is fundamentally compromised by the manipulation of the Reapers. All those choices that seemed so natural, all those laws that seemed so immutable, were in fact part of a structural pattern weaved by a malign intelligence for its own ends. The text realization of this is the idea that the Mass Effect relays are a trap. The Reapers will invade through the Citadel and track civilizations through the mass relays in order to hunt them all down. On a metaphorical level though, what this conversation is saying is that evil is systemic. Terrible acts occur not because of specific individuals who are uniquely monstrous, but because systems and structures and hierarchies and patterns cause bad things to happen. The Reaper genocides are so successful because the galaxy has been railroaded into using weaker, dead-end versions of their technology. Any resistance can be decapitated at a stroke because the network inspires multiple races to come together under one strong central authority, which bases itself right at the Reaper's beachhead. There's no one individual Reaper that's responsible for specific atrocities or masterminding the entire plan. It's inherent to the system. Towards the end of the game, we'll encounter another Prothean VI, Vendetta, who says pretty much the same thing, but goes further, that past cycles of life have not only fallen to the same Reaper attacks, but have also experienced similar peaks and troughs of evolution, the same conflicts, the same patterns. It pops up elsewhere in the series too. Miranda Lawson, the genetically engineered perfect woman, is but one in a series of clones created by her father. Intergalactic hitman Thane Krios' deepest fear is that his son, Kolyat, will follow in his footsteps and become an assassin just like him. One of my favourite moments in the series is the end of the Shadow Broker DLC, where it's revealed that the Shadow Broker was just a former minion of the previous broker, who usurped his master and took his place. And when Liara kills the current broker, she takes on his mantle as well, repeating the cycle. This emphasis on patterns is a really structuralist, progressive idea. In real life, sexism and racism aren't the result of one or two horrible bigots, but are encouraged and transmitted by cultural values that often cloak themselves as being anything but sexist or racist, like ED's appearance as discussed a couple of videos ago. Poverty is less about individual poor financial decisions and more about an environment that makes it difficult to save enough money to choose expensive but efficient options, or that discourages education and developing good financial skills. We're talking about death spirals where you're depressed, you're feeling low, so you stay in bed all day, which makes you feel useless, which makes you depressed, so you stay in bed all day. We're talking about parents who never learn to cook, so they buy processed meals every day. So their children never learn to cook, so they buy processed meals every day. So their children never learn to cook. We're talking about impossible situations where you need a car to get a job, but have no money, so you can't afford a car, so you can't get a job, so you have no money, so you can't afford a car, so you can't get a job. All of these problems are structural. The natural consequence of systems and patterns that self-reinforce a negative effect. Now, I may have lost you there. You might not agree politically. I think the traditional audience for science fiction is conservative suburban white males. But the important point is that within the universe of Mass Effect, the entire galaxy as we know it has been structurally compromised by the Reapers. It's not inherently evil, it's not full of evil people, but the patterns that it follows exist to serve the will of the Reapers, and the Reapers are evil. The Crucible serves as a mirror to the Citadel and the mass relays, where the mass relays work as a tool for evil, for the Reapers, in maintaining a pattern that results in countless cycles of extinction and annihilation. The Crucible is both opposite and microcosm. As Javik sort of hints at here in this video, and as Vendetta spells out later in the game, the Crucible is an iterative attempt by the galactic races to defeat the Reapers. We got the idea from the Protheans, who got the idea from the Inusanon, who got the idea from someone else. It's a pattern of our own, a positive pattern that attempts to counteract and neutralise the Reaper pattern of control, and this is what redeems the Crucible for me. It's no longer a plot device, an out for an impossible conflict. It has thematic and symbolic resonance. It carries one of the core motifs of the game, patterns, into the heart of the narrative, and it does it far better than any number of mass relay detonations or fleet actions or bombs smuggled onto Reapers. The conventional victory strategies fans like to hypothesize about are so much less interesting and less relevant to the story.
There, you can open the life pod now. Got it. Goddess. It may take him some time to fully regain consciousness. Be careful, he's confused. Remember, it's been 50,000 years for us, but for him, it's only been...
a few minutes!
No, the bunker is falling. There is no other option.
There are pods online! Those soldiers are still alive!
Their sacrifice will be honored in the coming Empire. Preparing neutron bombardment. Get to your life pod now.
Clarify.
Sensors are damaged. Automated reactivation is not an option. You'll remain in stasis until a new culture discovers this bunker. This may lead to a power shortage.
Do not shut off more pods. I need the few that are left.
Power needs will be triaged appropriately. You will be the voice of our people.
I will be more than that. How many others?
Just you. You can understand me?
Yes. Now that I have read your physiology, your nervous system, enough to understand your language.
So you were reading me, while I was seeing...
our last moments. Our failure.
Your people did everything they could. They never gave up. And I could use some of that commitment now.
Shepard, whatever you did got Cerberus interested.
Asari. Human. Turian. I'm surrounded by primitives.
It's not safe here. Will you join us?
You fight the Reapers?
Yes.
Then we will see.
That's correct, Admiral. But he's not quite what we expected.
Commander, our scientists barely understand what they need to do here. If the Prothean can help us construct this device, we need his cooperation.
Understood, Admiral.
We're losing colonies faster than we can evacuate. We've never seen a force like the Reapers.
He has, Admiral.
Can he help us?
I intend to find out.
Good. Cerberus slipped up and gave us a new weapon. Don't let it go to waste. Hack it out.
Shepard, I need you down in the port cargo hold. It's about our new guest.
I'm on my way. What's the problem?
I've tried to make the room more accommodating, but they're not letting me talk to him.
Apologies, Doctor. Contact protocol with a new species. Assume hostility. We had to dust off the regulations.
But he's not new. I've spent my life studying Protheans.
At ease. I don't think our guest will be a problem. Will he?
That depends on you. I can sense fear in you, anxiety and distress. The Reapers are winning.
What do you mean, you sense?
All life provides clues for those who can read them. It is in your cells, your DNA. Experience is a biological marker.
Then what exactly did I experience back on Eden Prime? That was a hell of a flashback.
The battle left its own mark on me. I communicated this to you. It can work both ways.
Like your beacons.
Yes. Which... You found one. You saw it all. Our destruction, our warnings. Why weren't they heeded? Why didn't you prepare for the Reapers, human?
I prefer Commander, and we did our best with what we knew. Your message wasn't exactly specific.
Then communication is still primitive in this cycle.
We pieced together what we could, and used it to stop a Reaper invasion 3 years ago.
Then the extinction was delayed.
Now we have your plans for the Crucible. We've started building it.
Crucible?
The weapon your people were working on. I'd hoped you could tell us how to finish it.
We never finished it. It was too late.
Then I take it you don't know anything about the catalyst?
No. I was a soldier, not a scientist. Skilled in one art, killing.
What was your mission?
Among my people, there were avatars of many traits. Bravery, strength, cunning. A single exemplar for each.
Which are you?
The embodiment of vengeance. I am the anger of a dead people, demanding blood be spilled for the blood we lost. Only when the last Reaper has been destroyed will my purpose be fulfilled. I have no other reason to exist. Those who share my purpose become allies. Those who do not become casualties.
Nothing in our fight against the Reapers has been that cut and dried.
Because you still have hope that this war will end with your honor intact.
I do.
Stand in the ashes of 1 trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. This silence is your answer.
We found this at the dig site. I assume it belongs to you.
It is a memory shard.
Could it help us with the Crucible?
No, it contains only pain. But I will help you fight. And the last thing the Reapers hear before they die will be the last voice of the Protheans, sending them to their grave.
If you don't mind, I have a few more questions I'd like to ask.
Here it comes.
I've written over a dozen studies on your species. I've published in several journals that...
Amusing. Asari have finally mastered writing.
I'm sorry?
Never mind. What do you wish to know?
Let's talk a bit about Javik. I hope you all noticed the colour choice again. Javik's skin, his VI, his weapons and his biotics are all green. Green is the colour of transition in Mass Effect. In this case, Javik has literally been transplanted here from another time, from the previous cycle in the pattern. His other colour is red, his red medieval samurai armour. Aside from being another marker for his origins in the ancient past, the red is also a fairly obvious clue to his personality. Javik's one of those mean, semi-evil BioWare characters that are into murder and killing and getting the job done at any cost. He's most similar to Shale from Dragon Age or HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. He's quite a dark character, even tragic, an arrogant imperialist that is nonetheless the last of his race, completely alone in the galaxy without the empire that was his life. His mission is a failure, his friends are all dead, some by his hand. Similarly, Shale is a dwarf trapped in a body of stone, with no memories and, for a long time, forced to obey the commands of others. HK-47 is a violent, bloodthirsty murderer, but still also bound to obey the commands of his master. BioWare licensed all three characters through their inappropriate and disproportionate reactions to things. Shale has utter contempt for mere humans and hates all birds. HK-47 calls everyone meatbag, and eagerly inquires if the player will let him kill the characters he meets. Javik is rude, unfriendly, supercilious, and constantly threatens to either eat people or throw them out of an airlock. Quite a contrast to Liara's suppositions earlier.
Many of the details were lost. The conflict lasted for centuries. Those that faced the Reapers in the beginning were long dead when I was born. There were memory shards, however, passed down from soldier to soldier. They gave us fragments of what happened.
How did your people wage war against the Reapers?
Attrition. We fought them system by system, planet by planet, city by city. Entire worlds were sacrificed just to slow the Reapers down. Time they spent harvesting a population was time we could regroup.
That must have cost you in the long run.
Yes.
Javik obviously has a lot to say about the Protheans and how they lived. He blows open a lot of the assumptions made previously in the series by Liara and players alike. The revelation that the Prothean plan for this cycle was a resurgent empire of the humans, Asari, Turians, etc. underneath as vassal races is a deliberate contradiction to the benevolent martyrs of Ilos. It's yet another example of how the Reaper-manipulated galaxy gives rise to flawed, harmful, self-destructive institutions. And it's also quite funny to see the last flicker of Liara's naivety be so brutally snuffed out. Wisest counselor indeed.
Scientists eventually went into cryogenic stasis.
More of my people survived?
No, but they did stop the Reapers from taking control of the Citadel in this cycle. It delayed their invasion.
It's a little odd that such an important archaeological find, a living, breathing Prothean, the oldest being in the galaxy, is allowed to join Commander Shepard on a series of dangerous combat missions. There's relatively little impact for an event that should be galaxy-shattering. He's literally older than history. Mind-blowing. But I suppose it's just one of those conceits of the medium and the concept. There's not much point in having him in the game if he just gets whisked off to some university to be studied. He has to be on the Normandy so he can fulfill his role in the narrative.
We've never seen a species with this sensory ability you have.
It was common among my people, imparting experience through touch. The chemistry of life. Complicated ideas could be absorbed in seconds.
That sounds very useful.
We evolved as hunters. Reading 1,000 details in our environment ensured our survival.
I'm beginning to understand the beacons a bit more.
Later, we developed technology to harness our ability. Information could be stored in certain objects through touch. Memory has its own biomarker, its own chemistry, as do knowledge and skills. The beacons could remember these things.
Things like Reaper invasions.
Yes, I can still sense the turmoil in you. Witnessing the extinction of our empire. The fabric of your being was forever marked that day.
So could you read something about this room?
There was liquid, a form of incubation. The DNA of a Krogan who lived here. He was powerful, prone to violence.
I'm impressed. His name was Grunt.
And if he were my enemy, I would have given him a wide berth. There is great strength in his genes.
Is there anything more you can tell us about the Crucible?
Only the stories we heard. They said our scientists were constructing a great machine that had the power to defeat the Reapers.
You never saw it?
By that point, the Empire was smashed into pieces. None of us knew what the others were doing.
Well, if we don't finish it soon, the same will be true of us.
In earlier drafts, Javik was a part of the base game. In fact, he was a key part of the Crucible, the catalyst, and there'd be a big conflict with Cerberus over who got to keep him. In the final version, he isn't.
You were supposed to survive into this cycle?
Yes. Under my leadership, a new Prothean empire would have arisen. We would have commanded the races of your time to prepare for the next Reaper invasion. But traitors within our ranks, indoctrinated agents, betrayed us, and the Reapers discovered our plan.
Just out of curiosity, how would you have commanded us?
By leaving you no other option. You would have joined our army, or faced the Reapers alone.
Instead, Javik, in addition to being a way to flesh out the Protheans and previous versions of the Reaper War, is also a mirror to Shepard. He's his cycle's version of what Shepard is in this cycle, just sadly born 200 years too late.
We ceased all study. We hoped they would see you as too primitive to harvest.
Well, thank you. I think. Thank you for talking with me. I never imagined actually meeting a Prothean.
This has been amusing.
Oh?
To discover the most primitive races of my time now rule the galaxy. The Asari, the humans, the Turians.
There's also the Solarians.
The lizard people evolved.
Garrus makes the comparison explicit in an after-mission dialogue. He jokes that maybe they should freeze Shepard for 50,000 years, and he can start over with the next cycle.
Commander, you may count on me. I am known as Javik.
Then welcome aboard the Normandy, Javik.
Liara makes a similar kind of comparison in this scene, which shows up later in the game, and which, I think, is a lovely character moment for both Shepard and Liara.
Come on in.
Thank you. Could we sit? I've been thinking about the knowledge we gathered on the Reapers, and how easily it could be lost again. So, I put a plan in motion to preserve things for the future.
What's this?
A record of the galaxy. Information on the Reapers, relays, different cultures, and blueprints of the Crucible. But there's one entry I wanted your opinion on.
Which one?
Your own. I'd be honored to have your input. How would you like history to remember you?
50,000 years is a long time for a computer to sit around.
Please, I was an archaeologist. I know what I'm doing. I'm encasing these records in time capsules and seeding copies on multiple planets. And while it's not foolproof, The VI I'm installing has every translation and linguistics program I could find.
So it's an information guide like Vigil on Ilos?
Yes. I've been preparing it for some time.
And it will be a privilege to guide the future discoverers of these records. Have you decided what you would like Dr. Tassoni to write in your entry, Commander?
Put down the truth. Good, bad, don't leave anything out. Let history be the judge.
I'll give them the facts. Let me just delete all these breathless passages on your heroics.
You writing anything I can't live up to?
I can't help myself. You're a good friend, Shepard.
You've been there for me too, Liara.
No, I haven't. I wish I could have joined you back on Ilium.
You made up for it.
Well, I suppose I did just write your name in the stars.